There is a reason you have not arrived. It is not your work ethic. It is not your intelligence. It is that you have not yet dared to act like the man you were born to become. You have waited too long for signs. You have hesitated too often at the edge of your next step. You have asked the world for permission to succeed, when all along, success was waiting for you to assume it. The men you admire, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, did not tiptoe into their future. They stepped in with the stride of certainty, not because they had already won, but because they had already decided. Before the money, before the applause, before the proof, they walked as if the crown was already on their head. And so I tell you now, there is no greater secret than this: to act as if you have already succeeded. Speak it, dress it, decide like it, work like it. You are not lying to yourself, you are leading yourself. What you are about to hear is not theory, it is a weapon, a sacred law that rewrites destiny when followed with faith and fire. If you listen with your full mind, if you speak what is spoken here, you will not merely dream of success, you will step into it. Every man who has ever accomplished anything of lasting importance began not with a tool in his hand, but with a firm and unseen decision in his heart. The world will not move for a man who merely wants success. It bows for the one who assumes it. Before the riches of Carnegie were formed in steel, they were formed in belief. Before Ford built the moving assembly line, he moved as a man who had already earned the trust of destiny. Success, my friend, is never accidental. It is an echo, an outward reflection of an inward state that was first claimed in silence. There's a great law, a hidden law, that governs all advancement. I call it the law of assumption. It states that the man who walks in faith, as though the thing he seeks is already his, will attract the very conditions necessary to make it real. You are not asked to pretend nor to boast. You are asked to live from the end, to conduct yourself as though Providence has already sealed your victory. This law has been buried under the noise of doubt, forgotten by the many who wait for proof before they believe. But those who rule the world, whether by wealth, by invention, or by influence, have always lived by it, even if they could not name it. Let us look to Edwin C. Barnes, who stands as one of the clearest illustrations of this law in action. When he first arrived at the offices of Thomas Edison, he was a poor man in appearance, but not in mind. He did not approach Edison as a mere job seeker. He declared to himself that he would become Edison's business partner. That decision, made long before he had earned a single dollar, transformed his actions. He walked, spoke, and worked as if he already belonged among the inventors and giants. And in time, Edison, who could read the seriousness of purpose in a man's eyes, rewarded him not for his resume, but for the power of his inner identity. Now understand this: Barnes was not delusional. He did not ignore reality, he simply overruled it. He knew that the world changes for the man who first changes within. He was not pretending, he was preparing. And that, my friend, is what I ask of you now. Do not spend your days asking, "What do I need to do to succeed?" Instead ask, "Who do I need to become? And how must I carry myself to match that man?" You will find that the doing will follow naturally. A man who believes he is a leader will act like one. He will not wait for others to grant him approval. He will take responsibility, speak with clarity, and command the attention of life itself. You must build this assumption as a ritual. Each morning you must enter the role of the man you desire to be, not in jest, not as a fantasy, but with deep emotional commitment. Speak aloud what that man believes. Move your body as he moves. Make decisions as he would decide. You are not fabricating, you are forming. You are not impersonating, you are installing. The subconscious cannot resist repetition, and when repeated with emotion and belief, it begins to shift your reality. Let this truth take root. The subconscious must see the blueprint before it builds the house. Just as the architect draws the structure before the stone is laid, so must you design your self-concept before the world knows your name. The reason most men drift is because they are waiting for the world to validate a vision they have never dared to claim. But that is not your path. You are to declare it first. You are to build the identity now, and let the results be the inevitable echo of your new self. Why do you think men like Rockefeller were unshakable? It was not because they were born with gold in their veins. It was because they carried themselves with such unbreakable assurance that others began to see them as titans long before the wealth was visible. When Rockefeller entered a room, he moved slowly, not from laziness but from certainty. When he spoke, he did so without apology. He acted as if the future was already formed, and the world simply obeyed the script he had rehearsed in his mind for years. Now I offer you this sacred exercise. Do not wait to feel ready. Act as though you already reign. Walk into your work as though you are the man who owns the outcome. Greet others not with arrogance, but with the quiet strength of a man who has already won. Stand in front of the mirror each day. Look yourself in the eye and say, I walk like a man already crowned. I no longer wait for permission. I act with conviction. My posture reflects my destiny. The world sees in me what I declare first. I carry the atmosphere of success, even before the results arrive. Speak these not as empty words, but as commands issued from the throne of your own mind. Feel them, believe them. Walk away from the mirror and live them. Remember this truth: life never rewards the man who waits to succeed. It blesses the one who assumes success and moves accordingly. This is not falsehood, it is the highest form of obedience to the laws that govern all achievement. When you act as though the victory is already yours, you do not lie. You lead. You lead your mind, you lead your emotions, you lead your habits, and in time you will lead your life into the exact image you have chosen. Let us proceed. There comes a time when a man must examine not merely what he desires, but who he has been while desiring it. For many claim to seek greatness, yet approach it with the voice, posture, and behavior of beggars. They whisper prayers laced with doubt. They speak ambitions softened by apology. They move toward their goals with hunched shoulders and lowered eyes. And then they wonder why their results arrive slowly, if at all. Let me tell you plainly, the world does not answer the cry of the uncertain. It reflects back only the certainty it perceives. It is not enough to wish. A beggar wishes. It is not enough to hope. A beggar hopes. The builder, on the other hand, expects. He does not ask the world whether he is worthy. He shows it. He does not plead with life. He commands from it. His words are shaped with conviction, his actions deliberate, and his self-regard unwavering, even if no man yet applauds. Until you abandon the language, the habits, and the identity of the beggar, you will find yourself returned to the same place again and again, confused, fatigued, and doubting your own design. Take a lesson from Henry Ford, who, in the early days of his endeavor, was met with laughter, ridicule, and dismissal. His ideas were declared impractical, his finances insufficient, and his ambitions delusional. Yet Ford did not flinch. He did not curse those who opposed him, nor did he grovel for approval. He acted with mechanical certainty, not because he had money in his pocket, but because he had clarity in his mind. His certainty was not born of success, it was the soil from which success later grew. You see, the man who walks with purpose is not made impressive by his possessions. His greatness is in how he moves before the evidence appears. Ford was a builder, and builders do not look to the crowd for validation. They look to the plan. They look to the blueprint forged in mind and etched in soul. His belief in the utility of his machines ran deeper than the world's doubt. And so, with every rejection, he did not weaken, he refined. This is the posture you must take. You must strip from yourself all tones of pleading. You must extract from your vocabulary the hesitations that weaken your message. Every time you say, I hope, you shrink. Every time you say maybe, you stall your progress. Instead, speak as a man of vision. Declare your aims with clarity, not to impress, but to instruct your own subconscious. The mind must be led, and it will not follow a master who sounds uncertain. The beggar waits for opportunity to knock. The builder crafts the door, then opens it himself. The beggar prays, then forgets his request by noon. The builder prays and then prepares the field for harvest. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. When a man speaks from faith, he is not boasting. He is obeying the law of assumption, the same law we introduced before. He is saying, I have already received it in spirit, and I now walk as the man who carries it in form. Let us pause here and speak aloud the affirmations that will begin to recode the voice of your own identity. But remember, they are not words to be read. They are declarations to be embodied. Say them as though the earth beneath your feet responds to your tone. I speak as a man of vision. I am not seeking, I am manifesting. I am the type of man who is purposeful. I carry the energy of one who has already succeeded. I do not ask for permission to become. I declare that I already am. Feel those words. Let them rise from your chest, not your throat. Let them form not only sound but substance. You are not here to survive. You are here to stand. Stand as the one who has already seen the mountain and made peace with the climb. Do not ask, will I make it? Say, I am already walking in the direction of my rightful place. When others question your path, you do not owe them defense. You owe yourself discipline. The beggar explains. The builder executes. Think again of Elmer R. Gates, who trained his mind so precisely that he could command ideas to come to him in silence. He did not whimper into his notebooks. He sat upright. He demanded. He aligned his posture with his expectation. That is what is required of you now. Before we proceed, I ask you to search your words. When you speak of your future, do you soften your tone? Do you dress your sentences with hesitation? Do you speak your dream only after asking, what do you think? If so, you are still wearing the clothes of a beggar. Strip them now. You are a man with a definite chief aim. You are a man forging a new self through repetition and assumption. You do not walk as a man who is waiting. You walk as one who has already heard the voice of providence and now carries out the orders of destiny. Say again, I walk with the energy of completion. I do not audition for my own dream. I embody it. I walk into every room as a man already appointed. If you adopt this state, not once but daily, you will find something shifts, not only in the way you think, but in the way the world responds. Strangers will begin to treat you differently. Opportunity will be drawn to your tone. Doors will creak open, not because of magic, but because you finally arrived as a man who had already been invited. Let us continue. A man may speak of faith, sing hymns about it, and offer poetic words in its praise, but unless he moves with it, he does not yet possess it. Faith, you see, is not a whisper carried on the wind. It is a hammer in the hand. It is the quiet, unshakable resolve to advance while the world jeers, while results are absent, while evidence has not yet appeared. The man who believes must act not when it is easy, not when the path is smooth, but when the sky is overcast, when the crowd is silent, and when every step forward feels like dragging a weight uphill. Do not mistake silence for belief. Do not assume that because a man claims to believe, he has proven anything at all. Faith is not proven in stillness, it is proven in motion. A man who waits to see results before taking action is not faithful. He is fearful. He is one who waits for the applause before writing his speech, for the guarantee before stepping on the road, for the warmth before he builds the fire. But the man who has faith does not wait. He moves and the results follow, not because the path was promised, but because he made the path exist by walking it. This is the great tragedy of most men. They believe waiting is a form of preparation. But waiting that is not filled with action is decay. It is fear dressed in discipline. I say to you now, the world does not reward those who wait for conditions to become favorable. It rewards those who create favorable conditions through their motion. That is how Thomas Edison brought light into the world. He did not wait for the darkness to approve his invention. He built amidst doubt. He built while others ridiculed. He constructed, tested, failed, adjusted, and kept on building because he believed not that the light bulb would work, but that he was the man who would bring it into being. He was not powered by proof, he was powered by vision. Edison did not need the crowd to see it, he had already seen it within. And the man who has seen it within is more dangerous, more powerful, more persistent than the man who needs to see it outside first. Edison's steps were not reckless, they were obedient. He followed the call of a vision so deeply embedded in his mind that the noise of doubt could not drown it out. This is how you must move. You do not wait for signs to tell you it is time. You act and make your action the sign itself. You do not wait for encouragement. You become encouragement in motion. You do not wait for the door to open. You build the frame of the door and then walk through it. Let this truth sink into your soul. Your movement is the seed, and the result is the harvest. But the man who refuses to plant will forever curse the empty field. Consider how often your mind has waited for others to understand, waited for conditions to improve, waited for your emotions to align, and while you waited, others moved. While you hesitated, others acted. While you doubted, others built, and now they live in the results you say you desire. Understand this. It was not intelligence that gave them the advantage. It was motion. They moved with imperfect plans, unclear blueprints, half-formed sentences, and trembling hands. But they moved, and that made all the difference. When you declare, "I am the proof my vision is real," you do not wait for evidence to be delivered. You become the evidence. Your life becomes the proof, your discipline becomes the argument, your consistency becomes the sermon. You stop explaining and start embodying. You stop hoping and start building. You walk into the day, not asking, "Will it work?" but commanding, "This is already working, and I walk in alignment with it." Let me offer you now a set of affirmations, not as poetic phrases, but as sacred orders to your subconscious. Speak them aloud with strength. Let your tone suggest that you are not in the realm of suggestion, but of command. I am the proof my vision is real. I do not require signs to act. My action is the sign. I move before the world believes because I already do. I walk as the man who has already arrived. Faith in motion builds the bridge. Repeat them daily, not just as a ritual, but as identity reinforcement. You must speak until your inner world obeys. Speak until motion feels like instinct. Speak until doubt dares not rise against your morning stride. Now some will say, "But what if I move and I fail?" And to that I say, then you have proof that you are closer. Every act of motion, even one that ends in error, is worth more than 10,000 thoughts that never become action. Every step taken teaches your soul how to walk stronger. Failure does not come from action. Failure comes from stillness pretending to be patience. Do not confuse delay with design. If your habit is to wait, you are not building faith, you are feeding fear. Action is the language of those who trust their Creator. Action is the tone of those who know the universe bends not for the timid, but for the relentless. Let us draw once more from the example of Henry Ford. Long before his empire was respected, he built it in his mind, then in barns, then in steel. He faced lawsuits, opposition, financial risk, but he moved. Not because he had the full path, he never did, but because he believed enough in the first step to take it. His motion proved his faith, and eventually, the world followed. Will you do the same? Will you sit one more day waiting for motivation, or will you move as though the gift is already yours? Remember, the man who becomes successful is not the one who waits to believe. It is the one who walks like he already does. There's a lie that has captured the minds of too many men, a lie that confidence is a gift bestowed upon the chosen few, that some are born with it, and others must walk the earth with heads bowed, waiting to be tapped by fate's generous hand. But let it be stated clearly, confidence is not a trait. It is a duty. It is not a mood. It is a posture a man assumes until the world is forced to agree. The successful man does not wait to feel confident. He acts confident long before results justify it. He enters the room with decision in his spine, with clarity in his gaze, and with a voice tuned not to the winds of opinion but to the internal drum of purpose. He does not check for permission before speaking. He does not apologize for breathing boldly. His very existence is a declaration, and if he feels fear, he buries it beneath forward motion. You may be surprised to hear that even the great Theodore Roosevelt, a man admired for his robust leadership and thundering presence, was once weak, asthmatic, and feeble in youth. He was not born bold. He was born breakable. But he chose confidence as a discipline. He practiced speaking with conviction. He threw himself into physical exertion. He stood taller, breathed deeper, and acted like a man long before he was recognized as one. And over time, the world adjusted to the image he projected. What did Roosevelt understand that you must also grasp? That confidence is a tool, not a temperament. It can be sharpened by repetition. It can be shaped by intention. And it can be trained into you the same way a blacksmith forges steel, with fire, with hammer, and with daily effort. And this, my friend, is why so many remain in quiet failure. They wait for the feeling to come. They hope confidence will arrive like morning sunlight through the window, soft, warm, and effortless. But confidence does not arrive. It is summoned. It is invoked through action. It is installed like armor in the early hours of the day, when you look into the mirror and declare not what you feel, but what you intend to become. You must not ask, "Do I feel like a confident man?" You must speak as one. You must walk as one. You must dress and carry yourself with the air of a man who already possesses the strength he seeks. And let me be clear, this is not arrogance, it is alignment. The man who knows his purpose is not arrogant for walking in it. He is obedient. Too often men conflate humility with hesitation. But humility is not weakness, it is strength under control. The humble man may kneel before his Creator, but he walks before men with certainty. Confidence is not a denial of your past, it is a declaration of your potential. It is not vanity, it is victory in progress. Consider what happens when you speak softly, walk without intention, and apologize for your presence. Your subconscious registers that as fact. It says, "This is the man we are." And so you behave that way in every negotiation, every relationship, every moment of opportunity. You whisper when you should command. You delay when you should decide. And you shrink when the moment demands expansion. But now imagine what happens when each morning you recite the following declarations, not once, not casually, but with the full conviction of a man becoming, "I am the type of man who walks in certainty. I am the voice of clarity in every room I enter. I am not asking, I am declaring. I am shaped by vision, not by fear. I am already the man I intend to become." Let these be your morning code. Write them, speak them, stand as you do so, speak them from the chest. Do not whisper your future, declare it. Let your voice be the chisel that sculpts your subconscious mind. Let each word echo louder than the doubts that once held you. Understand this, every man you admire once felt fear. Every builder, every titan, every name etched in the granite of history once stood at the edge of uncertainty. But they did not yield. They trained themselves. They made their confidence a discipline. And through that discipline, they earned dominion. Let us look once again at Henry Ford. In his earliest ventures, he was derided as a fool, a dreamer, an impractical mechanic. But Ford did not let the voices around him dictate the tone within him. He built systems of success in his imagination before a single factory stood. And when he spoke of his plans, he did so not with tentative suggestions, but with engineering precision and executive tone. He acted as the head of an empire while he was still the worker with grease on his hands. This is not fantasy. It is the formula. The mind does not discern whether you are or whether you act as if. It only follows orders. It obeys the image most consistently repeated. And so I ask you, what image have you been repeating? That of a man waiting to become, or of a man who already is? You may ask, yeah, but what if I appear foolish? To that I say, you will. At first, greatness always appears as delusion to those who have accepted mediocrity. But your duty is not to look believable. It is to become undeniable. And the man who practices confidence like a craft will eventually embody it like a second skin. Let me offer one final truth. Confidence is not the outcome of success. It is the prerequisite. The man who waits to win before he walks like a winner will never arrive. But the man who walks like a winner before he is seen as one, that man is writing the terms of his future in real time. Therefore, let us close this moment with your new assignment. Each morning, before the world has a chance to speak into your day, you speak first. Say aloud with your back straight, your shoulders squared, your mind aligned with destiny. I walk with command. I speak with clarity. I act as if the crown is already mine. I am not becoming. I already am. The world does not define me. I declare who I am. These words, spoken daily, are not affirmations. They are instructions to your being. Speak them long enough, and the world will bend. Speak them daily, and confidence will cease to be something you borrow. It will become who you are. There is a law as old as civilization, and as powerful as any truth ever uncovered by man. As a man speaketh, so shall he become. His words are not mere expressions. They are blueprints, silent instructions written into the fabric of his soul. His language builds his fate. And the man who permits careless speech is the same man who unknowingly constructs a careless life. If you would be great, you must learn the speech of the great. If you would command results, you must first command your vocabulary. A man may dress with purpose, he may stand upright, he may even labor with diligence, but if his words betray uncertainty, all his power is stolen before it leaves his lips. The tongue, more than the hands, is what builds or destroys a man's world. The successful man does not ask, what if it fails? He states, when I complete it. He does not say, I hope. He says, I intend. He does not utter soft apologies for his aims. He declares his direction without explanation or permission. The world is not shaped by those who whisper. It is reformed by those who speak with such conviction that even the air listens. Let us examine a titan, Andrew Carnegie, a man who rose from messenger boy to industrial king, did not merely build steel, he built belief, and he began with speech. Carnegie demanded of his men clarity, precision, and decision. He would not entertain discussions laced with hesitation or the pitiful dialect of perhaps. In his presence, one learned to speak as though the outcome was already in progress. If a man said, I think we might, Carnegie corrected him, say instead, we are doing. For he knew what few understand. Words are not reflections of belief, they are creators of it. In his offices, words were not wasted, conversations were purposeful. Strategy was spoken not as speculation but as certainty. When we expand this line, they would say, not if. After this phase is completed, not we hope to. The entire organization was immersed in a vocabulary of achievement, and it was that very speech that hardened their minds like steel itself. They became builders of destiny not just by vision, but by the very words they fed into their consciousness each day. Understand this. The words you speak are not neutral. They are commands to your subconscious. When you say, I'm trying, your mind hears, I'm unsure. When you say, I'll see what happens, Your being hears, "I relinquish control." These phrases feel soft, but they are poison. They strip your will of sharpness, they dull your vision, and they train your spirit to believe in accident, not intention. The successful man replaces these phrases with a new code. "If I can" becomes "when I build." "I'm trying" becomes "I'm executing." "I hope" becomes "I expect." "I don't know" becomes "I will learn." "Let's see what happens" becomes "I'm directing the outcome." Let these replacements become your new mother tongue. Let them govern your internal monologue. Speak them aloud until they erase the old vocabulary of drift and doubt. Consider again Henry Ford, a man surrounded by mockery in his earliest inventions. The press called him mad. Investors pressured him to abandon his design. But Ford spoke always with finality. He never said, "if this works." He said, "when these cars are in every city." His speech reflected a man who did not ask the world for permission. He told the world what was coming, and then he made it so. You must take note, the world does not respond to the man who makes requests. It responds to the man who issues decrees. There is a king in every man, and his crown is forged through speech. Each word you speak must be inspected, polished, and aligned with your definite chief aim. You may not always control your circumstances, but you always control the language through which you interpret and declare them. Now reflect on your own vocabulary. How often do you soften your statements to appease comfort? How often do you deflect praise with humility masked as disbelief? How often do you lower your voice when stating your goal, as though hoping not to disturb the crowd? From this day forward, I charge you, speak with authority, speak with dignity, speak as a ruler, not a requester. You are not a man begging the universe to bless him. You are a man speaking blessing into reality. When you wake in the morning, begin with speech, not idle chatter, but sacred command. Stand before your mirror and declare not what you hope to become, but who you already are in action. I am the voice of certainty in my life. I speak the language of builders, not beggars. Every word I say aligns with my destiny. I do not ask for success, I declare it. I am the type of man whose words shape the world around him. Do not wait to believe them. Say them, and keep saying them until they no longer feel like affirmations, but reminders. Let them bleed into every conversation. Let them train your tone, your posture, your decisions. Let your speech become your second skin, so natural that any deviation from strength feels like betrayal. And remember this always: every great empire began with a sentence. Every fortune started with a statement. Every legacy was first spoken in the privacy of one man's mind, declared with unwavering voice, and followed with daily deliberate action. When I first studied the great minds, Rockefeller, Bell, Schwab, Taft, Wilson, I did not look at their inventions or institutions first. I studied their words, their journals, their speeches, their correspondence. And do you know what I found? Not men guessing, not men wavering, but men who spoke as though their dream was already fact. They did not describe, they directed. You must now do the same. Stop speaking of trying, speak of doing. Stop describing who you were, declare who you are. Refuse to repeat phrases that do not serve your future. Be relentless, be intentional, be articulate in direction, even if quiet in tone. For it is not volume that builds, it is conviction. The speech of the successful man is his greatest weapon. He may not yet have the gold, the team, the empire, but if he has the language, he already carries the seed of greatness in his mouth. Let us continue. The body is not separate from the mind. It is its servant, its amplifier, and often its betrayer. A man may carry within him a great vision, a burning desire, a definite chief aim carved into the deepest chambers of his heart. But if his body moves like a beggar's, slouches like the indifferent, or walks like the defeated, that vision will never take shape in the world. Understand this truth: the world does not listen first to your words, It observes your presence. It registers your energy. It reads your walk before it hears your voice. And if you do not command your body to obey your destiny, you will fall into the great mass of forgotten men, those who dreamed but never disciplined their limbs to carry their dream into form. There is a posture to success. There is a tone to confidence. There is a gait to greatness. And it must be practiced long before the evidence of success ever arrives. Too many wait until they have become successful to behave successfully. This is backward. You must walk like him, sit like him, dress like him, before you are him. If you truly believe you are becoming the man who commands his time, builds his fortune, and lives by principle, then every step you take must carry that belief. There can be no contradiction between your future identity and your present movement. Let us look again at the story of Edwin C. Barnes, the man who became business partners with Thomas Edison. Barnes did not arrive at Edison's door in riches. He did not wear fine clothes, nor was he accompanied by prestige, but he walked into Edison's office with the look of a man who had already made up his mind. His posture was not one of supplication, it was one of spiritual certainty. He shined shoes but carried himself like an executive. He earned sense but wore belief like a crown. And it was this physical alignment with his future that eventually persuaded Edison to say, "Here is a man I can trust with my ideas." You see, Barnes's body did not betray his purpose. Though his pocket was empty, his shoulders were back. Though his resume was thin, his eyes were focused. He acted as if his success was already decided. And so the world responded in kind. Contrast this with the man who carries within him a dream, but slouches through his days. He speaks of transformation while dragging his feet. He talks of goals while moving with the energy of the defeated. He postpones posture until results come. But results only come when posture is already in place. The subconscious, like the world, must be shown, not merely told. Think of Henry Ford laboring in obscurity in a small Detroit workshop, surrounded by doubters. He did not wait until his automobiles were recognized to command the room. He dressed neatly, worked with precision, moved with purpose. His tools were cleaned, his schedule kept, his gestures deliberate. In everything he did, Ford showed the world the kind of man who would deserve to run an empire, even before he had built one. Your body must be taught the feeling of success. You must walk down the street not with arrogance but with conviction. Your clothes must reflect dignity, not costliness. Your seat must be taken as if it belongs to you, not as if you are waiting for someone to grant you permission. Even in solitude, perhaps especially in solitude, your physical behavior matters. For you are always training something, your mind or your fear. If you slouch in privacy, speak softly to yourself and act without direction, your subconscious absorbs this posture as truth. But if you carry yourself as a man with direction, even when alone, your subconscious will begin to reflect that certainty in your thoughts and eventually your outcomes. Let me make this clear. This is not pretense. It is not empty mimicry. It is faith in motion. It is the discipline of embodiment, of preparing your vessel to match the power you are building inside. If you would become a man of principle, then let your back straighten with principle. Let your handshake become firm, your eye contact become unwavering, your entrance into a room become purposeful. Let your very presence say what your voice has not yet spoken. Your daily behavior must be aligned with your chief aim. If your aim is to become a leader, then wake early, walk purposefully, dress thoughtfully. If your aim is to build wealth, then treat every task, however small, as the training ground for your future fortune. If your aim is to influence, then speak less and with more weight. Carry yourself as one who already holds the crown. This is not about impressing others, it is about impressing yourself. Every time your body acts with intention, your subconscious receives the signal, "I am him." Every time you sit upright instead of slouching, you say, "I respect my path." Every time you enter a room with energy and certainty, you declare, "I belong here." Make no mistake, the man who slouches in obscurity will slouch in opportunity. The man who hesitates when unnoticed will hesitate when praised. The body must be taught before the world ever confirms the training. The rehearsal is the becoming. Let this become your creed. My body is loyal to my future. I walk with the certainty of a man who has arrived. I sit in rooms I will one day command. My posture reflects my principles. Every movement is a declaration of who I am. Repeat these aloud, not once, not twice, but daily. Say them as you rise. Say them as you walk into your office, your home, your workshop. Let your body become the billboard of your belief. Let it no longer carry the weight of doubt, but the precision of decision. You are not waiting to become the man who earns the respect of nations. You are already practicing, and practice, repeated with faith and intention, becomes identity. I say to you, if you have spent years building ideas, planning dreams, and refining purpose, but have failed to discipline your body to obey that vision, then you have left your greatest tool unused. Now is the time. From this moment, become him, in step, in breath, in posture, in voice. The world will not reward your potential, but it will kneel before your preparation. We continue. There's a deadly myth that has infected the minds of many ambitious men. It whispers, wait. Prepare more, perfect it first. It tells him that the right time will arrive if he simply delays a little longer. It encourages silence disguised as strategy. And so, year after year, the man postpones his greatness, not by accident but by hesitation. Mark these words well. Success is never delayed by failure. It is only ever delayed by hesitation. You may recover from a mistake. You may redirect from a poor decision. But you will never overcome a life ruled by indecision. For while action moves you forward, even if misdirected, hesitation plants you in the soil of stagnation, where dreams rot slowly in the shade of doubt. The greatest men history remembers were not flawless, they were fearless. And not because they felt no fear, but because they refused to let fear govern the first move. There is power in the first move. The world belongs to the man who initiates, he who acts when others pause, he who begins while others plan, he who advances while others analyze. You must understand, the prize is rarely awarded to the most skilled. It is awarded to the man who starts. Let me remind you of Charles M. Schwab, one of Andrew Carnegie's most trusted men. Schwab did not ascend because he was the smartest in the room. Many of his peers were older, more experienced, more formally educated. But Schwab had one advantage they did not: he moved. While others waited for Carnegie's approval, Schwab would see a need and act. He would speak boldly, take initiative, and offer solutions without being asked. He carried himself as one already trusted, already chosen, and the world bent toward that decisiveness. You see, Carnegie rewarded courage more than caution. The world does the same. It admires thought, but it follows action. The successful man does not allow doubt to gather weight. The moment a worthy idea arrives, he moves. Not because he knows it will succeed, but because he knows that hesitation is the only guaranteed form of defeat. It is not the size of the task that stops most men. It is the delay at the starting line. Think on this. How many goals have you postponed not because they were impossible, but because you feared being seen beginning? How many pursuits have died not in failure, but in waiting rooms of your own making? Perfectionism is often the name fear gives itself to sound noble, but a man who seeks perfection before action is a man who will never act. Let me now give you a principle that must be written on your desk, your mirror, your journal. Begin, then adjust. Do not wait for every step to be illuminated. Start with the first. Begin the book before you know the ending. Start the speech before you have the applause. Launch the project before the certainty of profit. The man who acts will find the answers while in motion. The man who waits for all answers first will never move. Remember this also. Motion creates clarity. Inactivity breeds doubt. The longer you sit still, the louder your fear becomes. But once you start, even imperfectly, the mind begins to serve you. The universe begins to conspire with you. Energy flows toward motion, not stagnation. Henry Ford was not applauded when he began his motor experiments. He was ridiculed. His early prototypes failed, clanked, and sparked into broken silence. But Ford did not wait for elegance. He pursued motion. And through motion, he found mastery. Ford once said, "You can't build a reputation on what you are going to do." 1,000 men may have had the idea for the automobile, but only Ford moved. The man who moves commands his fate. The man who hesitates becomes its victim. If you are waiting for courage to arrive before you act, you misunderstand courage. It follows action. It does not precede it. The first step is not fueled by confidence. It is fueled by decision. Let us now examine hesitation for what it truly is. Not wisdom, not strategy, not maturity, but spiritual sabotage. Each day you hesitate, you reinforce your identity as a man who does not follow through. Each time you delay, your subconscious records it. I do not move when I say I will. In time, this becomes your truth, and your future pays the price. You must now kill hesitation with the same intensity you once entertained it. Set this standard. I do not wait. I act. I do not delay. I declare. I do not need perfection. I require motion. Let this become your new daily practice. Each morning choose one small, aligned action toward your vision and complete it without delay. Do not question. Do not plan it into oblivion. Do not consult 10 advisors. Move. And once completed, your identity is reinforced. You become the man who executes. And that repetition builds your destiny. You do not need to start with grand gestures. Begin with micro decisions, done with mastery. The discipline of quick, decisive action in small matters creates momentum in large matters. For example, send the letter you've drafted 10 times. Record the message you've written and rewritten. Call the contact you've avoided due to self-doubt. Rise at the time you promised yourself without hitting the delay of comfort. Each of these acts is not about the task. They are declarations. They are proofs to your subconscious. I am no longer the man who waits. And in time, this identity will move through every part of your life. Do not concern yourself with how it looks to others. Most will laugh when you begin. Let them. What they mock today, they will quote tomorrow. Let us now install a new internal dialogue. When doubt whispers, respond with movement. When hesitation rises, lower it with decisive action. Speak these words until they become reflex. I am the man who starts. I lead with courage, not delay. I move before I am ready, and become ready through motion. My destiny honors boldness. My first step is my covenant with success. Let your mornings begin with these declarations. Let your fingers move before your fear can speak. Let your feet carry you forward before your mind invents reasons to stay still. Act, adjust, advance. Do not become the man who spends a lifetime planning a masterpiece that never leaves the page. Be the man who acts, refines, and commands reality. Your vision is worthy of action, not someday, not eventually, but now. And when you begin, the heavens will notice, and the world will respond. Every man is shaped not merely by his thoughts, but by the environment in which those thoughts are permitted to dwell. The greatest enemy of transformation is not always the enemy you carry inside. It is often the silence of your surroundings, the quiet agreement of everything around you to remain exactly as you are. If a man seeks to ascend to the mountaintop but continues to live in the valley, he must not be surprised when the air he breathes does not strengthen, but suffocates him. You must understand this clearly. No man can sustain a higher identity in an environment that reflects a lower one. The chairs you sit in, the voices you allow, the rituals you perform upon waking, all of it either confirms your future or cages you in your past. The mind is programmable, yes, but it is also fragile. It is influenced. It is triggered by the repetition of what it sees and hears, far more than what it intellectually knows. To act like you have already succeeded means not only that you speak as a ruler, walk as a ruler, but that you arrange your kingdom as one who is destined to rule. This is not theatrical, it is strategic. The man who builds a palace must first sweep away the dust. The man who becomes exceptional must first eliminate the ordinary from his surroundings. Begin with your physical space. Walk through the places you spend the most time, your room, your office, your vehicle, and ask yourself this question: does this space serve the man I am becoming, or does it reflect the man I've outgrown? If the desk is cluttered, the drawers packed with things that have no purpose, the walls absent of purpose-driven inspiration, then you are still living among the remains of your former self. Burn the bridge, yes, but do not leave behind the blueprint for rebuilding it. Remove all symbols of stagnation. If you have clothes you no longer wear because they belong to an older, smaller version of your identity, release them. If you possess books, images, objects that tie you to a mindset of mediocrity, of wandering, of drift, purge them. In their place, install triggers. Triggers are environmental reminders of destiny. A phrase that arrests you in the morning, a photograph that anchors you to your chief aim, a clean workspace that says, "I am not available for confusion," a journal open to a page of declarations that say, "This is the man I'm becoming." Your home must be a reflection of your commitment. There should not be one room where mediocrity can hide without being seen. Your morning must begin in alignment, not in chaos. Your bedroom must prepare you for rest, not distraction. Your tools must be sharpened and present. Your technology must be turned into a servant, not a master. Even your diet, your music, the books you casually leave on tables, these things are not neutral. They preach to your subconscious. And the subconscious, being obedient, will believe whatever is repeated, but the environment extends beyond the visible. The mastermind principle, one of the greatest discoveries I have shared, speaks to the necessity of strategic alliance. You must choose your counsel not for comfort, but for combustion. Surround yourself with men and women who demand your higher self, not those who apologize when you shrink. A true mastermind partner does not merely agree with your ambition. They enforce it through their own excellence. Let us speak plainly. If your friendships are built on nostalgia and not mutual expansion, they must be reassessed. If your spouse discourages the vision instead of reinforcing it, a conversation must be had. I am not saying to discard those you love, but I am declaring that love which hinders your growth is not love at all. The man who fears his spouse's opinion more than he fears wasting his potential is already drifting. The couple that does not form a mastermind in unity will form a battlefield in silence. A marriage that multiplies power must be intentional. Sit weekly. Speak visions aloud. Write goals together. Affirm one another, not for who you were, but for who you are becoming. Place your shared vision in writing. Display it. Make the home not only a place of affection but of ascent. Think of Andrew Carnegie, who surrounded himself not only with steel but with steel-minded men. He chose associates who stretched his ideas, not softened them. Think of Henry Ford, who maintained an inner circle of strong-willed thinkers like Edison and Firestone, not flatterers. Each of these men used their surroundings to challenge their vision into manifestation. Their environment was a crucible of clarity. You must become militant about your environment. Do not romanticize the past. If your surroundings are filled with relics of a man you no longer wish to be, then every day is a war between your present vision and past symbols. You cannot say, "I am becoming," while staring at photos, items, and notes from your drifting days. Eliminate the friction. Make every wall, every drawer, every calendar entry scream your destiny. Create visual rituals. Have a corner for declarations, a space for silent visualization, a time in the day where the only voice that speaks is your own. The 5 minutes you spend with your vision must become sacred. Prepare the space for it. Make it beautiful, make it exact. Let the people in your life know that you are no longer interested in rehearsing limitation. Make your conversations reflect conviction. Speak with those who speak in solutions. Remove from your circle those who insist on reminding you of your former failures. It is not cruelty, it is clarity. You are not just transforming yourself, you are training the world how to treat you. If you allow your environment to remain scattered, sloppy, and slow, you are giving permission for your mind to follow. But if you train your environment to salute your higher self, it will begin to push you forward without your asking. Now let us install new declarations. Declarations that you must post, not just speak. Write these down and read them morning and night. Let them form the new software of your being. Everything around me reminds me of where I'm going. I do not tolerate reminders of my past self. My space serves my future. I am the architect of my atmosphere. My environment submits to my vision. Say them aloud as you clean, as you remove, as you elevate. With each spoken word, throw away what no longer serves. With each declaration, replace something meaningless with something sacred. This is not about decoration, it is about domination. Domination of the mind, of the subconscious, of your environment, and of your days. The great secret is this: once your environment submits to your vision becomes inevitable. You are no longer fighting your surroundings, you are fueled by them. And when the day comes that every room you enter, every item you touch, every voice you hear, supports the man you are becoming, you will rise not by accident but by design. Now we continue. A man cannot rise above the image he holds of himself. He may possess ambition, he may even possess skill, but if when he looks in the mirror, he still sees the uncertain, the inadequate, or the unworthy, then no amount of outer movement will change the course of his life. A man becomes not what he wishes to be, but what he is willing to rehearse becoming, and the mirror is where that rehearsal begins. The power of the mirror lies not in its glass, but in what the mind accepts as truth when face is met with voice. You may declare 1,000 affirmations while walking through a room, but until you can look yourself in the eye and speak them with unwavering belief, you are merely whispering wishes into the wind. What you cannot say to your own reflection, you will not withstand before the world. This is why every great man must engage in a daily ritual that may appear strange to the drifting mind, but is sacred to the purposeful one. Mirror work. You must stand before the glass, not to observe your appearance but to confront your identity, not to admire what is but to command what shall be. Let me tell you of a man who mastered this: Abraham Lincoln. In his early days, before speeches would echo through the halls of power, he would recite his words alone in the dark, sometimes by candlelight, pacing floors with no audience but himself. These were not moments of practice, they were moments of programming. For Lincoln knew that unless the words first passed the test of his own conviction, they would hold no power in the mouths of others. He trained not merely his arguments, but his expression, his tone, his timing, his emotional weight. He became the president long before the votes were cast, because he had already seen him, heard him, believed him in the mirror. The ritual is simple, but it must not be taken lightly. Begin each day by standing tall, shoulders back, chin level, breath steady. You are not gazing at a reflection, you are speaking to your successor. Look into your own eyes, not above, not below, but into, and declare aloud the man you are choosing to become. Do not whisper, do not mumble. Speak as if every word etched itself into your soul. The subconscious does not distinguish between rehearsal and reality. It accepts repeated instruction. And no instruction is more potent than what is declared with emotion and eye contact. When the voice is aligned with the gaze, you produce not just sound but substance. You are writing on the walls of your own mind, "This is who I am now." At first, you may feel resistance. You may even laugh at yourself or feel foolish. That is the old identity gasping for breath. It knows it is being replaced. Do not be disturbed by this reaction. It is proof of the ritual's potency. In time, you will come to depend upon these moments. They will become your internal meeting place, your private war room, your sanctuary of strength. What should you say in this mirror? Begin with identity affirmations. These are not hopeful statements. They are declarations of alreadiness. You are not asking to become, you are announcing who you are. You may speak phrases such as, "This is the face of the man who does not waver. I speak into being the man I already am. I am the embodiment of discipline and direction. I no longer reflect my past, I reveal my future. My voice carries the tone of a man already victorious." Repeat each phrase not once but 3 times. With each repetition, increase the emotional voltage behind it. Let your face show it. Let your eyes glimmer with certainty. Let your jaw tighten, not in aggression, but in resolve. Once you have spoken, remain in silence for 10 seconds. Let the stillness soak into the subconscious. Allow the echo of your own voice to linger, not just in the room but in your bones. This is not affirmation as novelty. This is repetition as reality engineering. And if there are days when you feel weak, if your face is tired, your eyes weary, then especially on those days, you must speak louder. You must not permit your outer condition to alter your inner command. The habit of daily declaration is not a strategy for the easy days. It is a safeguard for the difficult ones. For the man who can look into his own eyes and say, "You are him," even when he does not feel it, that man is already unconquerable. You must also vary your phrases over time. As you evolve, so must your words. Identity is not fixed, it is grown. Adjust your declarations to match your current edge. Always one step beyond comfort, but never out of reach. Speak into the next you with accuracy. Let this mirror ritual be non-negotiable. Just as you would not leave your home without clothing, do not leave it without clothing your mind. A man may be dressed in silk, but if his inner language is ragged, he will live as a beggar. Speak like a king, and the world will begin to treat you accordingly. Now, understand this. The world is not listening at this hour. No audience awaits your mirror speech. That is precisely what makes it sacred. These words are not for applause. They are for alignment. You are not performing, you are installing. And what you install daily, you will soon become permanently. This is the preparation no one sees, but it is the preparation that determines all outcomes. Speak as the man who has already arrived, and soon enough your results will arrive as well, not because they were summoned by magic, but because they were commanded by identity. Let us end this part with your daily ritual. Write it, recite it, live it. Stand before the mirror, breathe deeply, set your shoulders, engage your gaze, declare your 5 identity affirmations aloud with increasing intensity. Let silence settle. Walk into your day as the man you just announced. This is not ego, this is obedience to purpose. Then remember, the man who can command his own face will never be commanded by the face of the world. The moment a man dares to act as if he has already succeeded, when he rises before dawn and speaks words the world has not yet confirmed, when he walks with the posture of destiny before fortune has made its deposit, the world around him will begin to stir with discomfort. They will not understand him, they will not celebrate him, they will question him, they will doubt him, and if he is not strong, they will stop him. But if he is certain, they will one day quote him. This is the eternal law. The man who carries vision always walks alone first. The man who moves as if he has already arrived must pass through the wilderness of mockery, not because he is wrong, but because he is early. And the world has never been kind to men who are early. To those who arrive too soon with conviction, the crowd assigns ridicule before reverence. The jeers are the price of prophecy. Let it be known. If you are being doubted, it means you are doing something uncommon. If your certainty offends, it means you are standing in a position most men fear to claim. You have exited the circle of mutual compromise and now stand on the edge of creation. And that edge, my friend, makes men nervous. You must not internalize the doubt of those who have never dared. Their laughter is not an indication of your foolishness. It is the echo of their own limitation. They do not laugh at you. They laugh at the reflection of themselves they see in your courage. For when a man moves boldly, he holds up a mirror to every man still drifting, and few can stomach the reflection of their own cowardice. Understand this clearly. Thomas Edison was declared insane more than once. Newspapers mocked him, intellectuals dismissed him, even investors lost hope. Yet he continued, not because he was convinced of the applause, but because he was convicted by the vision. He knew the world did not owe him belief. He owed himself obedience. Henry Ford, too, was treated with contempt. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. The experts declared his methods illogical, his vision absurd. They said the common man would never drive a car, and certainly not one built on an assembly line. Yet Ford did not entertain their conclusions because he had already seen the result in his mind. Their doubt was not his concern. His duty was to act as if success were already completed. John D. Rockefeller was demonized for his intensity. He was portrayed as ruthless, obsessed, even dangerous. But Rockefeller was simply a man who moved with precision in a world that moved with hesitation. And when a man refuses to doubt himself, the world will attempt to do it for him. The weak want you small, they want you unsure, they want you humble in appearance, not in heart. Let their laughter be your landmark. It means you've stepped outside the boundary lines of mediocrity. And the moment you do that, the drifting masses will hurl pebbles of doubt, hoping you'll come back and join them in the safety of compromise. Do not. They are not your judges. They are your warning. Reframe ridicule. It is not rejection. It is resistance, and resistance is sacred. It builds your armor. It hardens your resolve. It purifies your purpose. The more they doubt you, the more you must decide that their opinion has no seat at your table. Let them laugh, but let your steps not slow. Let their words swirl, but let your eyes stay fixed on the outcome. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual duty. For a man who acts as though he has already succeeded is not bragging. He is believing. He is not pretending. He is pre-living. He is not wearing a mask. He is wearing the future. They will say you are crazy. Let them. They said it about every great man who ever built something eternal. They will say you are too much. Let them. It means you are no longer matching the tone of the average. They will say you changed. Let them. It means you finally have. Do not shrink to soothe them. Rise to become who you were always meant to be. Let us now declare your defense, your mental shield, against their voices. I am the type of man who grows stronger with every doubt. I do not explain vision to those who live without it. Their ridicule is my confirmation. I do not require applause to act. I walk forward, even if I walk alone. Speak these aloud daily, not to convince others, but to anchor yourself. For the man who is rooted in purpose does not sway with the winds of opinion. And if you are tempted to withdraw, if their doubt begins to take root in your thoughts, remember this. They do not see what you see. They cannot. The vision was not given to them. It was given to you, and that makes it your obligation, not theirs. So when they doubt, you do not argue. You build. You do not persuade. You produce. You do not fight for approval. You fight for execution. Let your results speak where their words once shouted, and they will. Every great empire was once the subject of mockery. Every man of legacy was once called foolish. Every revolution of thought was first met with laughter. But the laughter fades, and the legacy remains, so walk on undisturbed. Let them doubt, let them speak, let them laugh. But you will act. You will become. You must no longer delay the arrival of the man you are meant to become. He is not on the horizon. He is not awaiting some approval, promotion, or perfect timing. He is not in tomorrow. He is in you now. and he demands entrance. To act as the man who has already arrived is to begin living from the inside out. This is not a game of appearances. It is not pretense. It is alignment. A man cannot expect to reach destiny while living in contradiction to it. You must ask yourself, what would the man who has already succeeded do today? Would he rise late, drag his feet, question his abilities, and speak uncertainly of his goals? Or would he wake with fire, speak with clarity, walk with composure, and act from knowing? There is a version of you, a real one, who has already achieved the result you seek. He exists not in fantasy, but in the realm of potential. He is not unreachable. He is simply untapped. And the key to unlocking him is not waiting. It is acting. When you speak today, speak as him. When you decide, decide from him. When you step forward, do so with the weight of your own crown already upon your head. Write not as a man hoping to succeed, but as the man who has succeeded. Plan your week as though your fortune has been confirmed. Organize your space like a man entrusted with power. Guard your time like a man whose name is already carved into legacy. This is not delusion. It is spiritual instruction. Faith without works is dead, but works aligned with belief awaken destiny. Too many men sit idle waiting for confirmation from the world before they move. But the world only confirms what a man has already declared internally. You will not be given permission to rise. You must assume the throne yourself. Do not misunderstand this. I am not speaking of arrogance. I am speaking of alignment. A man who walks in his future self is not pretending. He is remembering. The seed of greatness has always been within you. This habit is the watering of that seed. Andrew Carnegie walked through steel mills before they bore his name. He did not wait to feel successful. He acted with definiteness until the world bent around him. Ford still mocked, still sued, still doubted, built factories on the inside of his mind and governed his day as if those machines were already roaring with life. Rockefeller tracked every dollar like a man who would one day influence nations. And he did. He carried himself as though the responsibility was already his, and soon it was. When you wait for success before behaving successfully, you invert the law. Success is not a cause. It is an effect of belief, of repetition, of alignment. You must act now, not like the man who hopes to succeed, but like the one who already has. There must be no gap between who you say you are and how you behave. Your habits must reflect your identity, not your past identity, but your chosen one. Speak aloud the thoughts of the man you are stepping into. Repeat them until your mind accepts no other script. Do not argue with fear. Drown it in repetition. And let this become your challenge. For the next 7 days, live as the man who has already arrived. Eat like him. Think like him. Train like him and work like him. Dress like him. Speak like him. Rise like him. Rest like him. And when doubt comes, and it will, you reply not with hesitation but with motion. You reply with action. You reply with obedience to your future. For doubt is only the memory of your old self fighting for survival. Starve it. Speak now the declarations of arrival. I am no longer becoming, I am now. The crown is already on my head. I make decisions from the man I am, not the one I was. There is nothing left to wait for. I walk in authority now. I am not visiting destiny, I live there. Let these be your words, not just for a moment but for a lifetime. Because once you act as the man who has already arrived, you'll realize something extraordinary. He was never that far away. There is no power quite like a man who speaks and writes from the place he intends to occupy. Words, when combined with emotion and repetition, become the very blueprint by which the subconscious mind constructs a life. Thus I give you this sacred assignment, a 21-day journey that shall not merely change your circumstances, but reshape your identity from the inside out. You will begin what I call the Live As If Journal Challenge. Each morning, before the world lays its cold hand upon your thoughts, Before others speak limitation into your purpose, you will take up your pen and write, not from the man you are today, but from the man you are becoming. Each entry begins with one simple but mighty phrase. As the man who is already built, here you will fill your definite chief aim. Today, I. Do not be vague, be precise. Whether it is a business empire, a life of freedom, a book that influences millions, a body of strength, or a spirit of unbreakable calm, declare it clearly. For example, as the man who has already built a 7-figure publishing business, today I. As the man who has already become a sought-after speaker and leader, today I. As the man who lives in total discipline and health, today I. And then continue your entry from that identity, write of how he thinks, acts, speaks, walks, and decides. Write of what he would do with this very day. What would he accept? What would he decline? How would he carry himself in conversations? How would he show up to his tasks? You are not to write as a man wishing, hoping, or doubting. You are to write as a man who knows. For in truth, you are not scripting fantasy. You are aligning your subconscious with the man already present in spirit, awaiting expression. Why does this work? Because the subconscious does not know the difference between memory and vision. It only knows what you give it repeatedly, emotionally, and with faith. And a man who writes from his future identity is training himself to live from that identity. This habit may at first feel foreign, even awkward, but I warn you, do not stop. For awkwardness is the discomfort of leaving behind an outdated self, and discomfort is the very proof that change is being impressed upon the mind. You will continue this ritual for 21 days, not 3, not 7. You must give the soil time to accept the seed. At the end of each week, you will conduct a sacred review. Reflect not only on what has happened externally, but more importantly, what has shifted internally. Is your posture more upright? Are your decisions firmer, faster, more aligned? Are you speaking more from vision, less from memory? Are your standards rising? Are you thinking as a ruler rather than a servant? If even one of these has begun to shift, it means the mind has begun to obey the new command. And once the mind shifts, the world follows. Keep your journal sacred. Let it become your silent partner in transformation. Carry it in your bag. Keep it on your desk. Place it near your mirror. Let it serve as your daily altar of identity. And remember, I do not write from who I was. I write from who I command myself to be. My words today create the man I live as tomorrow. Each sentence I write is another stone in the temple of my future. This is not mere journaling, this is internal construction. And when done faithfully, your world will have no choice but to reflect the identity you now carry with conviction. Begin today. Write as if it already happened, and soon it will. Each day from its rising to its rest presents a divine opportunity, not merely to survive, but to reign. To live not as a beggar seeking the approval of the world, but as a sovereign being who commands his time, his thoughts, and his direction. To aid you in anchoring this identity, I give you what I call the crown routine. It is not a practice of vanity. It is a ritual of remembrance. For the man you are becoming does not need to be found. He only needs to be summoned. Your morning begins before the world has had its say, before distractions creep in, before the doubts of others find their way into your spirit. Stand before the mirror, your first throne for the day. Look yourself directly in the eyes. Hold the gaze. Do not flinch. Do not look away. This is not the time for passivity. This is your first act of rulership. Speak your affirmations aloud with certainty, not as a wishful thinker, but as a man who declares, I am the type of man who decides and acts. I walk as one who has already arrived. My words command my world. Speak with force, not volume, but conviction. This is not the moment for poetry, it is the moment for power. You may feel silly at first. You may feel resistance. That is the residue of an old identity clawing to remain. But you will not stop. You will not apologize to your reflection. You will not ask permission from your past. You are declaring to your subconscious, this is who I am now, and in time, it will obey. Because the subconscious cannot resist emotion, repetition, and identity. If you do this daily, and do it with truth in your tone, you will notice something shift. First within, then without. By midday, the temptations will arrive. Distractions, fatigue, the gravitational pull of your past. That is precisely why you must return to your throne. This time, within your mind. Pause, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and visualize the outcome already achieved. Not as a fantasy, but as a memory not yet lived. See the office, the people shaking your hand, the wealth built, the health restored, the family proud, the impact expanding, and now ask yourself, how does that man walk? Then rise and walk like him, shoulders square, chin forward, steps sure, not in arrogance but in certainty. This posture, this stride, it is not for show, it is to instruct your nervous system we have already become. Evening brings the final and most sacred step. Sit with yourself, free of noise. Reflect not merely on your to-do list, but on your to-be list. Ask yourself, today did I act from the man I am becoming or the man I once was? This is not a space for shame, it is a space for truth. If you fell short, admit it, but do not dwell. Instead, decide. Tomorrow I will speak with greater precision. Tomorrow I will command my moments with more clarity. And if you did live from the man already crowned, then declare it. Celebrate, not with indulgence but with reinforcement. Let your subconscious hear the words, I was him today, and I will be him again tomorrow. The crown routine is not about 5 minutes. It is about building a pattern of power. It is about repetition so intentional, so emotional, and so vivid that your inner world can no longer support the weight of smallness. It must expand to match your vision. And when it does, the world around you will catch up. Do not skip a day. Do not negotiate with yourself. This is not a suggestion, it is a requirement for the man who claims to have a definite chief aim. You cannot walk like a king once a week and expect the world to treat you as one. You must become him daily, hourly, moment by moment. That is the price of authority. That is the price of freedom, and you are worthy to pay it. You will not remember the exact moment it all changed, but you will remember the weight you carried for years, the weight of hesitation, the burden of asking for permission to become who you already were. And you will remember the moment you stood taller, spoke firmer, moved with finality, not because something outside of you changed, but because you did. Listen to me now, not as a voice from the clouds, but as the future version of you, the one who already arrived. I speak to you not from fantasy, but from fulfillment. You are the one I have been waiting for. The world did not need another man who followed. It needed one who stood alone until the ground beneath him recognized his authority. You were never meant to beg, not for time, not for money, not for permission. You were not built for smallness nor for softness. You were built for rulership, for decision, for creation. You have seen what waiting has done. It has drained your strength. But action rebuilt it. You chose to walk as the man already crowned. You chose to build when others still wished. You chose to rise day after day with your identity intact, your voice sharpened, your vision louder than the noise of the world. You did not need to be told you were enough. You needed to tell yourself, repeatedly, relentlessly, until even your doubts bent their knees to your will. You did not wait to become him, you became him first, and in doing so, everything else aligned. The man who walks with conviction has already won. Because the world does not yield to the most talented, it yields to the most decided. And that is you now. You are the man who walks like it's done, because it is. You do not consult fear, Because fear is no longer your counselor. You consult conviction. You move as one who is already chosen. And yes, you will still face resistance. You will still hear the whispers of the world trying to return you to comfort, to the past, to the small life they find safer. But you are no longer available for that. The bridge is burned. The mirror has changed. The crown fits, and you will not remove it. Repeat this now and forever. I am the man who no longer waits. I walk like it's done, because it is. Fear is not my counselor, conviction is. I speak and my world responds. I move and life obeys. I do not explain, I demonstrate. I do not wish, I decide. I do not ask, I build. I was born to command, and now I do. Walk forward, not as a seeker but as a sender, a transmitter of will, a builder of destiny. The world is no longer your teacher, it is your student. Train it by how you show up, and never forget, you were meant to rule.